Last Epoch was initially released in April 2019, about 5 years ago, into early access. It began with a small team wanting to create a good action RPG. While some input came from Reddit, the plan to make this game existed beforehand. Last month, after almost 5 years, Last Epoch made it into its final release. That's when I bought it. I don't usually wait until games leave early access, but when Last Epoch came out, I was busy with other games, so I bought it upon its final release. I've played only 17 hours so far, which is nothing compared to my 1,500 hours in Path of Exile and probably triple of that in the Diablo franchise. Still, I've been pleasantly surprised by this title. With 17 hours, I can't say that I fully grasp everything about this game. I haven't even reached the end game yet, but the game has left an impression on me, especially because it has been fun. With action RPGs, you often get kept out of the really good items with grind. Anyone who has joined my Diablo 3 Devil's Breath farming streams knows what I'm talking about. It's fun getting the item that you have been looking for weeks, but the way to get it isn't. Sometimes when the grind becomes more unbearable than the rush of dopamine when finally being able to improve your build, we just stop playing. I started to run a multiplayer, but I had some server issues, so I restarted with a new offline character and I went through my first areas and quests with the guidance of a friend I also played Diablo and Path of Exile with before. I play Necromancer with an improvised self-made build. Some might call it the Zerg Rush build, but I usually call it kindergarten on a field trip because this is how it feels. I've reached level 55 now and I'm not gonna lie, I look fancy. I'm a Necromancer main in basically every game that allows me to play as a Necromancer. And if I can't play as a Necromancer, I try to at least be a summoner or something that is really close to a pet build. As a Necromancer main, I have played games that had good minion handling and I have played games with bad minion handling. Games where minions basically run away from enemies trying to get me killed, minions dying like flies, and minions being really enjoyable. I went into the game without prior knowledge, didn't watch any videos or guides beforehand. I didn't look up any build guides and I didn't even watch a stream. And I also didn't feel like I had to. I wanted to have the feeling of exploring the game freshly, without having to face imposter syndrome even before starting it for the first time. And while you need 2.5 university degrees in Path of Exile to get through leveling, Last Epoch actually felt good to play all the way through. I looked at the skills, I planned a little bit, and I was overall happy with my progression. Entering the game, it surrounded me with a certain kind of familiarity. Thoughts like, I know this from that game and from this game, made me feel like I was arriving home. And yes, there are limitations on how a classical Necromancer can be integrated into a game, and you can only be that creative changing things without changing the meaning of what a Necromancer is. But with Last Epoch overall being different enough compared to other action RPGs, these similar skills feel like hearing a familiar song in a different country. It's not a negative feeling, it's actually really nice. Since I only played Acolyte and then specialized into Necromancer, I'm not sure how other classes play. I think in the future it might be worth checking out different classes and builds to get a better feeling for the game. In Diablo 3 I also played a Demon Hunter, and in Path of Exile I played a Rogue. The game itself has a big integrated game guide for when you need to look up things. I personally prefer watching a video over reading guides, and I think especially when it comes to crafting, which is still a big part of the game, I want to watch a video or two to get the hang of it. The graphics are great in my opinion. I don't understand the need for insane graphics in action RPGs because they usually don't add much to the enjoyment of the game, but rather add more lag. I prefer when it's toned down. I love the art style of Diablo. Path of Exile always looked unreasonable shiny and slippery. Last Epoch is a good mixture without looking too dated. So yes, Last Epoch is kind of good when you love action RPGs. It has a lot of familiarity, but also new, satisfying aspects of rewarding gameplay. Crafting lets you get the items you actually need, and loot filters show you the items you actually want. Self-made builds are absolutely viable. The progression speed is good since it keeps you on your toes to keep updating and upgrading. I've seen people complaining it might be too casual, but we do need games that allow beginners to get interested in the genre. Not every game needs to be a university master's degree training, and sometimes you simply want to have fun playing things.